You should know about me that I get obsessed with certain recipes. And usually that comes from me going to some restaurant, some kind of bakery, where I try something and realize that's the best thing I ever had. And so I'll spend the next 6 months trying to figure out, for example, the cultured butter from Lazy Bear. Or perhaps making peanut butter cookies every single day until I figure out the flourless peanut butter cookie from Purple Onion in Los Gatos. Well, over this past week, randomly, I saw something about brownies and I wanted to figure out the best recipe. And so we kind of tweaked a little bit and we found the best fudgy brownie recipe, which you just saw in my last video with my daughter Evangeline. But I wanted just to raise that brownie game up just a skosh by changing up a couple of the ingredients. And so we're going to start with that same base because again, it makes the best fudgy brownie. And so we're going to have the same ingredients of having about 10 ounces of dark chocolate chips. I kind of mix up two, 163%, 172% because I like darker chocolate myself. We've got a half a cup of white sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, a quarter cup of cocoa powder. We've got salt, we've got our 3 eggs, and we've got our half a cup of flour. Of course, our secret ingredient, sour cream, which keeps everything from getting super dry. But here's how we're gonna raise the game a little bit. We are going to do a cream cheese topping. Now it might sound a little bit weird, but it's going to end up tasting a little bit like cheesecake and it's gonna have a cool little marble feature on the top. And we're also gonna add espresso. And so this right here is from Verve Coffee. It's their Buena Vista. It's one of my favorite coffees. And that's the one that we're enjoying from our espresso these days. And so let's go ahead and just raise this brownie game a little bit. But first, coffee.
So you already saw this in the last video, but what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be melting our chocolate with our butter, and you're basically making a ganache. And so as you see, the chocolate's going to start to melt alongside the butter, and you're going to continue whisking that until it is absolutely velvety smooth, and just make sure that you get all of it and that you don't have any chunks, and then you're done. Alright, so the chocolate is all whisked together with the butter and it is now velvety smooth and delicious. And now this is the part that is going to change just a little bit, because we're going to whisk together the sugar, the cocoa powder, and the eggs, but this is where we are going to add our salt and espresso. So let's do it. So now you're going to spray your dish or butter your dish, and you're going to start putting the brownie batter into your dish. But you're going to save about a third of that batter because we're going to need it in order to create that marbling effect to mix with the cream cheese. So now for the cream cheese topping, we are going to need an egg that you're going to whisk right now, because you actually don't need the full egg unless you go with full 8 ounces of cream cheese, but that's just way too much cream cheese. And so here I'm starting with 2 ounces of cream cheese, and to it I'm adding 3 tablespoons of an egg to it, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then I'm going to use my spatula to kind of mash it all together. It makes it a little bit easier to get going. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another 2 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm going to then switch to my whisk and whisk it together until it is completely smooth. So now what I'm going to do is take that brownie batter and I'm going to drop my dollops of cream cheese topping all over the top. And I'm going to use the back of a spoon and I am going to completely cover that layer. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be kind of sandwiching this cream cheese layer with that leftover brownie mixture that you had left over. And it doesn't really matter kind of the pattern that you do this, but I think if you want to have more of that cream cheese in every single bite, then this is kind of the way to go. But if you want to just mess around with different patterns, you can totally do that. So here's my leftover batter that I have here, and I'm going to be spreading that around to kind of create a little bit of a sandwich between brownie and that cream cheese. And what I'm going to do next is put my last bit of cream cheese right in the center of this brownie topping. You can do a couple different dollops if you want to, but for me, when I drop it in the center, I can actually create more of that marbling effect without kind of doing too many blobs and then you can't tell what it is. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take a knife and you're just going to kind of chop through the top layer of the brownie and also the cream cheese, and you're going to start to see some of that marbling effect happen just like this. Looks pretty cool. So we baked our brownie at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. At about 35 minutes, I put a chopstick in the center just to see its doneness. And when you put it in, you should meet some kind of resistance, but it shouldn't come out clean because we want the center of this brownie to still be pretty fudgy, but it shouldn't be like batter when you pull it out. And so we ended up cooking about 40 minutes and it came out really perfect because we let our brownie cool for about 30 minutes, and I wanted to show you guys just the cool marbling texture that we have on this brownie. Pretty cool design that you can see right there. Now, I would give this a taste right now, but we are actually not going to eat this brownie. I'm going to take this on over to our neighbors across the street just to bless them. And we hope that in this time of quarantine that you figure out a way just to make somebody else's day. Just do something special to be able to encourage one another, because while we're not all in the same boat, we are in the same storm. And we hope that you guys are healthy, well, and we'll see you guys on the next tutorial.